I sat between my aunt and cousin at the long mahogany table, pretending to smile as laughter echoed off the golden-lit walls. My fork barely touched the mashed potatoes, but no one noticed. They were too busy hanging on to my sister's every word. Her stories of Wall Street internships, her designer ring, her wedding in Tuscany next spring. I swallowed hard when Dad raised his glass and said, "To our golden girl, our pride." Mom chimed in, smiling directly at me. "Some daughters just shine brighter, I guess." Then came the sentence that carved me in two. "You'll never be as good as your sister." The words fell like a wine glass shattering against the marble floor. My spine stiffened, cheeks burned, but I didn't say a word. I'd learned that silence was safer. My sister laughed it off like it was just a joke, but I saw the corners of her mouth curl with smugness. She knew they'd always choose her. I stared at the chandelier above, the one that flickered slightly when the air conditioning kicked on. My eyes narrowed, not in anger but calculation. No one noticed me. They hadn't for years. They didn't see me working 2 jobs while putting myself through community night classes. They didn't ask how I was holding up after getting dumped last Christmas, right after they sent my sister to Paris for the new year. They didn't care that I paid for my own braces, my own car, my own everything, as the laughter grew louder. I drifted off into memories. The day I won a debate trophy in high school, but Dad skipped the ceremony to help my sister move into her dorm. The time Mom told me to lose weight if I wanted boys to like me. The birthday where they forgot to call, because they were celebrating my sister's promotion. I looked down at my lap. In my clutch was a tiny black device, smaller than a thumb drive, voice activated. It had taken weeks to get it discreetly from a guy I met through work. I excused myself, saying I needed to use the restroom. I walked slowly, past the dining room, into the front hall. No one turned to look. I reached up calmly toward the chandelier, pretending to adjust the light fixture, and clicked the recorder into place. My hand didn't tremble. My heart didn't race. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. I was done being the quiet one, the invisible one, the one who got their hand-me-downs and backhanded compliments. Returned to the table just in time to hear my sister laughing about how some people just don't try hard enough in life. The table erupted again. I smiled gently, my voice soft. "I think I'm done eating," I said. I cleared my plate and walked into the kitchen where no one followed. No one asked if I was okay, and that's exactly why they would never see what was coming. Because they still believed I was weak. But now I had their voices, and soon I'd have their secrets. I didn't leave a note. No goodbye texts, no dramatic announcements. I just vanished. One morning, they found my room empty. Bed stripped, closet bare, shelves wiped clean except for one burnt-edge photo frame turned face down. My phone went dead, my socials disappeared. I blocked them from every angle, digitally and emotionally. For the first time in my life, I gave myself permission to disappear. Mom told relatives I was having one of her episodes again. Dad joked to his friends, "She'll be back when she needs money." My sister, she probably didn't even notice. They framed my absence like it was petty drama, an attention stunt. But I wasn't seeking attention. I was reclaiming silence. I moved 3 cities over, changed my last name, dyed my hair darker, traded my old phone for a burner. I found a shared basement room in a quiet neighborhood and took up a front desk job at a small logistics firm, minimum wage, but paid in cash. I enrolled in therapy at a sliding scale clinic and started walking every morning with earbuds in, listening to audiobooks on detachment and power. At night, I poured wine into a chipped mug and watched old VHS tapes I'd digitized, birthday parties, school plays, awkward Christmas mornings. In almost every clip you could see it. How they spoke to her, how they looked at her. I was in the frame too, usually in the background, often forgotten. In one tape, I sang a solo while my dad filmed my sister texting. In another, Mom cut me off mid-sentence to ask my sister if she needed more lemonade. One night, I lit a small fire pit behind the house. I brought out my childhood trophies, swimming, spelling bee, poetry, all with dust still on them. I dropped them in one by one. The plastic curled, gold paint bubbling off. I whispered, "These were never for me anyway." It was while searching job boards anonymously that I stumbled on a familiar company name, one I had overheard at the family dinner table. My sister's new workplace. They were hiring for administrative support under a different department. I applied using my middle name and a slightly altered resume. 2 weeks later, I was in. The elevator smelled like money. Polished floors, whisper-quiet hallways, art that cost more than my old car. On my first day, I kept my head down, smiled politely, and took notes. My sister breezed past me in heels and didn't even blink. She didn't recognize me, my hair, my name, my energy. She had never really looked at me before anyway, but now I was inside her world, watching, learning, moving. Quietly like a ghost through the halls, she thought, belonged only to her. She thought I'd disappeared. She had no idea I'd just arrived. The office smelled like citrus polish and ambition. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the skyline, and everyone walked like they were on a tightrope. Graceful, determined, a little terrified. I blended in easily, quiet, efficient, anonymous. I was just Eve Whitmore, the new assistant with polite smiles and excellent filing skills. No one questioned my presence. No one looked at me twice, especially not her. She walked into the boardroom like she owned oxygen. VP of Strategy, her title etched in silver on her office door. I watched her from my cubicle, her heels echoing like drums of war. Her hair was sleeker now, her voice sharper. But that laugh, that same high-pitched, confident giggle, it still sent that familiar chill down my spine. The same laugh she used to toss at me across dinner tables, birthday parties, prom nights. The one that always meant, "You don't belong here." I kept my head down, played the invisible girl. I learned names, routines, weaknesses. I lingered in the break room longer than needed, listening to the gossip trail. I laughed softly with the IT guys. I offered coffee to the HR intern every morning, and she started telling me things she shouldn't have. I found invoices that didn't match. Billing for clients that didn't exist. Meeting trips stretched out into luxury weekend getaways. Days logged as strategy research, while her Instagram showed infinity pools and yacht brunches. It wasn't enough to land her in prison, but enough to embarrass her. Maybe get her suspended, maybe spark an internal audit. And it was real. This wasn't revenge fiction. She was actually doing this. Every time she passed by me, confident and unbothered, I burned. Not with jealousy, but with disbelief. They had bet the entire family future on her, sacrificed everything for this image, and she was playing the system like a game. But the moment that shook me didn't come from a spreadsheet. It came late one Friday, while she was out sick after a spa week in Bali. Her office was dim, curtains pulled shut. I slipped in quietly, gloved fingers brushing along her perfect glass desk. That's when I saw it, a small unopened envelope, faded pink. Handwriting I'd know anywhere. Grandma's. I froze. The name on the front wasn't hers. It was mine. I held it in my hands, heart stuttering. Addressed to me. Mailed to her. Unopened. I sat there for a moment, letting the betrayal wrap around me like cold silk. She hadn't even told me Grandma had written. She hadn't forwarded it. She'd kept it like a secret. Like a hostage. My hands trembled as I tucked the card into my coat pocket. I didn't open it yet. I wanted to read it somewhere safe, somewhere my sister had never been. But I knew then. This wasn't just about favoritism anymore. This was theft. Emotional, financial, familial. And I was going to take it all back. One file. One lie. One exposed truth at a time. I sat cross-legged on the floor of my tiny apartment, fingers trembling as I peeled open the pink envelope. Inside was a folded letter, faint lavender ink, written in the looping cursive only Grandma used. The paper still smelled like her, rosewater and cedar wood. I hadn't realized how much I missed her until that scent punched through my chest. My darling girl, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I've left something behind. Not just for you, but for both of you. I always dreamed of seeing you and your sister create something together. So I put aside a small inheritance in both your names. But there's a condition. You must work together on a real-world project, something that matters, something you both believe in. The bank has the funds in trust. Equal shares, but only if you cooperate. You were always my softest soul, my sharpest eye. Don't let the world dim you. Love always, Grandma. My lips parted. My mind reeled, money, an inheritance. She had believed in me, not just in my ability to survive, but to build, to create, and she wanted us to do it together. I called the bank the next morning. I used Grandma's case number from the envelope. Yes, the account was closed, the rep confirmed. Both recipients signed off on withdrawal. 6 months ago, my heart dropped. I didn't sign anything. The woman hesitated. Ma'am, I'm looking at the documents now. Your signature's on file. But it wasn't mine. It was forged. They took it. My parents, my sister. They accessed my half and split it, or worse, gave it all to her. My head buzzed. All those years of being told I wasn't responsible enough, not smart enough, not ready for anything big. They were never planning to give me a chance. They'd chosen her, invested in her, hidden opportunities from me. They didn't just favor her, they sabotaged me. I walked to the closet, pulled down an old shoebox. Inside, wrapped in a frayed towel, was my childhood music box, a ballerina figurine, now broken off at the ankle. It hadn't played in years. I'd kept it anyway. It was the only gift Grandma gave me alone. I wound it gently. It whirred once, then fell silent again. Like me. That night, I returned to the office late. My sister had left her phone in the break room. I knew the passcode, her fiancé's birthday. I slipped into the stairwell, hit record on my burner phone, and dialed her best friend. "Hey, girl," she answered, voice bright. "How's the spa queen?" My sister laughed. "Exhausted. I swear managing people is more tiring than actual work. I still can't believe your company hired someone to do your admin. So lucky." "Lucky?" she said with a sneer. "Please. My parents made them hire me. They say I'm the only one worth investing in." They laughed, and I didn't, because that was the moment I realized they didn't. Just erase me from the will. They erased me from the future. And I was about to write myself back in. The email came through at 7:03 a.m. sharp. "Thank you for your submission," it read, signed by the Internal Compliance Department. "We will be investigating the information you've provided. Your identity will remain confidential." I deleted the message immediately, then cleared the trash folder. The evidence I'd sent, ghost invoices, travel reports, timestamped social posts, and a voice recording of my sister laughing about her creative accounting, was thorough. Not enough to get her arrested, but enough to trigger a serious audit. Back in the office, everything felt normal. Too normal. She strolled in late, caramel macchiato in hand, glowing in silk and power. Her eyes swept the room and slid right over me as usual. I kept my head low, fingers dancing quietly across the keyboard. Behind the scenes, something was shifting. I saw IT scouring user access logs. HR held closed-door meetings all week. My sister started getting emails marked "Confidential Response Required." Her laugh was quieter now. Less certain. Then came the irony. My parents' 30th anniversary dinner. A black-tie garden affair with fairy lights and a string quartet. My sister asked for the night off. I didn't. Because I had already accepted the gig. As one of the caterers. Hair tied back, face half-shadowed under my cap, I moved unnoticed through the sea of white napkins and champagne flutes. I carried trays of canapes past people who once pinched my cheeks at church and forgot my name by high school. There she was, center stage, radiant in red. Dad raised a toast. To the daughter who's made us proud every day of her life, our shining star. Applause, cheers, glasses clinking. My hand stayed steady as I passed behind him. Inside the house, down the hallway, a subtle horror waited. My childhood medals, debate, science fair, even the regional art competition, hung in a neat little glass case. But the name tags beneath them? Her name, not mine. I stepped back, breath caught in my throat. They'd erased me even from my own victories. I wanted to scream. Instead, I took a photo. Back outside, my phone buzzed in my apron pocket. A single message from the HR intern I'd quietly befriended. "She's suspended. Effective immediately. You did it." I stood there in the candlelit dusk, surrounded by twinkling lights and clinking silverware, as laughter continued from the stage. No one knew what was unraveling behind the scenes. No one saw the match I had lit beneath there. Perfect stage, I simply moved to the next table and poured another glass of wine, silent, invisible, unshakable. This wasn't the explosion. This was the fuse. The glass walls of the conference room didn't hide anything. People gathered in the hall just to watch. HR sat across from her. Thick files spread out like an accusation, while executives whispered in the background. My sister's voice, usually sharp and commanding, trembled as she tried to explain away duplicate invoices and suspicious travel expenses. Her words cracked when IT presented the digital logs, dates matching her vacations. By noon, whispers had spread to every department. By the end of the day, she wasn't VP of strategy. She was that girl under investigation. I didn't celebrate. Not out loud, I simply packed up my desk. My badge slid across the reception counter with a small metallic clink. I had never needed their salary. I had come for the truth, for control, and now I had it. The call came that evening. Mom's voice, shrill and desperate. "Come home. We need to talk. Your sister's been framed. People are out to get her. You always disappear when we need you most." Dad took the phone next, voice heavy, almost rehearsed. "We can fix this if we stay together. Family first, remember?" I listened, silent, calm, then hung up. The next morning, I drove to their house. I didn't knock. I didn't ring the bell. I just left a manila envelope on the porch. Inside was Grandma's letter, edges singed from where I'd held it too close to a flame. A warning, a reminder, a confession. Whatever they chose to see in it, it was enough. I walked away before they could open the door. Later that week, I went to the cemetery. The air smelled like cut grass and rain. I knelt by Grandma's grave, pulled the music box from my bag, the one with the broken ballerina. I set it gently on the headstone. For the first time in years, I spoke aloud. They stole my voice, but I'm taking it back. I hope you see me now. The silence afterward wasn't empty. It was steady, like she heard me. I returned to my apartment that night, bone-tired but lighter somehow, until the pounding on my door shook the walls. I opened it to find my sister, mascara smeared, eyes wild. She shoved past me, slamming the door shut with her heel. Her hands trembled, but her voice was pure venom. "You think this is funny?" she hissed. "You think ruining me makes you better?" Tears streaked her face, but her stare was fire. She stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat of her anger. "You're going to fix this," she said, her voice low, dangerous. "Or I'll bury you. Don't forget, our parents still believe me. They always will." The room went still. My throat tightened. Not with fear, with something colder. Because I realized then, she wasn't broken. She was just cornered, and cornered animals don't beg. They bite. The dining room looked just like it had that night. The long, polished table, wine glasses glinting under the chandelier, the silverware too heavy for comfort. But this time I wasn't here to be invisible. Everyone was present. My parents, seated at the head like royalty. My sister dressed in muted tones, the shimmer gone from her eyes. My uncle and cousins filled the side chairs, buzzing with the awkward energy of people who knew something was wrong, but didn't know what. Mom forced a smile. "We're glad you came, sweetheart. Let's just have a nice dinner, like old times." "Of course," I said quietly, placing my bag beside me. No sharpness in my tone, no performance, just control. Soup was poured. Wine was passed. Polite conversation dripped like molasses. And then, as the roast arrived, I opened my bag. One by one, I laid the evidence on the table. Printed emails, financial statements, HR reports, screenshots, a photo of my trophies in the hallway, now falsely labeled under my sister's name, and finally the letter. Grandma's letter, the one meant for me, burned at the edges, still legible. Dad scoffed, trying to laugh it off. "What is this, some kind of stunt?" I didn't flinch. "This is who I am now," I said calmly, eyes sweeping across the table. "And this is what you did to me." My mother's face drained of color. My sister shifted in her seat, lips twitching as if trying to form a defense. I took out my phone, played the voice recording. Dad's voice filled the room, crackling from the speaker. "She'll never matter like her sister does." The silence that followed wasn't just awkward. It was radioactive. Mom reached for the remote, as if she could pause reality. My sister stood abruptly, chair scraping against the hardwood. "This is insane," she hissed, grabbing her coat. "I don't have to sit here and be attacked." She stormed out. Dad leaned back in his chair, eyes distant. Mom blinked like she had forgotten how. No one spoke. No one asked me to stop. No one even looked me in the eye. I stood, quietly gathering my bag. As I walked out, I passed my cousin near the door. He looked at me, unsure, still holding a fork. I leaned in, just loud enough for him to hear. "Tell them," I whispered. "I'm not their daughter anymore." And then I stepped out into the night, free, full, and no longer theirs. The sea whispers differently here. It's been 6 months since the final dinner. Since I walked out of that house, not in anger, not in revenge, but in full understanding of who I was and who I would no longer be. I live in a quiet coastal town now. The kind of place where the ocean paints the windows with light every morning. I run a small publishing press, tucked between a pottery shop and a coffee house. We specialize in overlooked voices, women with stories buried under decades of silence. The kind of stories I used to believe didn't matter. One morning, a letter arrived. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting instantly. My mother. It wasn't long. No dramatic monologue. Just a plain, quiet apology. "You were right, I was wrong. I should have seen you. I'm sorry." I sat with it for a long time. Not crying, not shaking, just breathing. I didn't need her to say it. I had already forgiven them, the moment they saw me. The moment the illusion cracked, and they realized the daughter they had dismissed was the one holding the mirror. That night, I pulled out an old hard drive and opened a video file I hadn't watched in years. It was me, 8 years old, sitting at a piano, playing a slow, clumsy version of Claire de Lune, while everyone in the background talked over me, laughing and toasting my sister's spelling bee win. I used to hate that video. Now I watched it differently. I watched her, the girl in the frame, trying so hard to be heard, even when no one was listening. I smiled, because she wasn't invisible anymore. She grew up. She fought back. She built a life with her own hands. And in that moment, I knew. I never needed to be better than my sister. I just needed to be seen. And now I don't need their table anymore. I built my own,